Today's episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast is brought to you by Poor Richard's Cafe and Star Local Media. Poor Richard's Cafe, Plano's oldest restaurant since 1973. They are open daily from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., serving the three most important meals of the day: breakfast, lunch, and dessert. It is true Texas home-style cooking made with love and grit. That is Poor Richard's Cafe, located off of Avenue K in Plano. Welcome to another episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast. My name is Matt Welch. I'm the sports editor of Star Local Media, and I am being joined by Brian Murphy and Taylor Ragland. Gentlemen, today, let's talk district MVPs. We are in the home stretch of high school basketball season. The girls' regular season actually ends. We're recording this on Monday. Girls' regular season ends on Tuesday. Boys ends next week. So it feels like we have enough of a sample size to work from to where, as we get towards the coveted assembly of the all-district list, that we can start talking about who do we think were the pound-for-pound best players in some of these star-studded districts that we have been covering all season. So that's how we're going to devote the podcast for this week. On today's, we're going to discuss 6A, both boys and girls, going to go district by district and discuss our picks for MVP, who we think is in contention and who we foresee coming away with the coveted all-district superlative by year's end. And then on Thursday, we will do the same exercise, only with 5A. So Brian, Taylor, let's start with 9-6A. Let's start with the district that has 3 McDonald's All-Americans on the girls' side.
Yeah.
Can there be 3 MVPs?
And that's the thing. For this today, specifically for this, we are not picking co-MVPs because I know it's an all-district list, and hey, everybody,
It's probably going to happen, and I'm going to hate every second of it.
Yes, for the sake for just retaining our sanctity, we're not going to give any co-awards out. We're going to pick one undisputed winner apiece. So let's, with 9-6A, I think this is going to be such an interesting discussion, just because you have so many viable candidates for this. Because like I said, 3 McDonald's All-Americans. You've got, 4 5-star prospects. You have some of the best players in the country in this district, and they have all stated their case all season long. You look at just some of the candidates. You have Jordan Oliver, Prosper; Jordan Merritt, Plano; Tavi Diggs, Plano East; Nia Green at Allen. It stinks that Jade Owens missed the time that she did.
She doesn't even get entered in the conversation through no fault of her own.
Yeah.
Every game she's played in, she's been great.
You just look this past week, she hangs 20 plus on both Prosper and Plano East, beats 2 playoff teams. Plano West does, that is. And I don't know. It is such a difficult discussion because you're having to parse through some of the absolute best players in the country.
And then you even have a good player at McKinney Boyd like Zoe Jackson who can light
or Aaron Fry with McKinney.
Aaron Fry.
Aaron Fry, I've seen them play, I think, maybe once, but she's a tremendous athlete.
And they're going to be thrown somewhere on the first team, but they're not even going to sniff the superlatives, which in most districts, they'd be up there for, offensive player of the year or something like that.
Maybe MVP. In some of those cases, these teams, if you transplant them to another 6A, McKinney's a very good girls basketball team. They were absolutely fine this year, and it's just a product of being in this gauntlet. Yeah. Crazy.
So I don't know, as we start to kind of parse through these names and think of who we feel like could be the district MVP, I don't know, what is kind of, as you guys eventually made your selections, was this a difficult process for you? Or?
It's interesting because it really wasn't for me, because I think that if you have all this statistical awesomeness and you have all these candidates and you have all these people, for me it almost comes down to kind of the old school eye test. And I've seen all of them play, with the exception of I haven't seen Jade Owens much, just because she got hurt. Plano West took a dip in the standings, obviously, without her, and I was covering teams that were still in contention: Plano East, Prosper, all those other teams. But just with the eye test, when I watch Prosper and Jordan Oliver, I think she's head and shoulders this year above. I've seen Tavi Diggs play over and over. I've seen Aaron Fry, like we just said. And those, Tavi's incredible athlete. She's a great basketball player. She's had a great year. But the things that Jordan Oliver has done for Prosper this season, in my mind, I think she is the district MVP. I think she's so important to that team.
I got the text from you after the second time that they played Plano East saying that you thought Jordan Oliver was the MVP, and quote, it's not even close.
I don't think
you texted hashtag not even close.
Yeah, like it's
I don't know if I'd go that far as to say it's not even close.
It's gotten closer. Let's put it that way, because there's been some circumstances that have brought Prosper back to the field a little bit.
Yes, Prosper.
Allen has kind of figured themselves out and is rising, and it's gotten a lot more interesting than it was at that point.
Yeah.
Because at that point it looked like Prosper was never going to lose again, which was part of it. And like I said, there's been some extracurricular circumstances that have kind of brought them back to the field and things going on. But at the same time, just the dominance when you watch Jordan Oliver this season. Because, I mean, I've seen her head-to-head with Tabby twice, and Jordan Oliver got the best of that matchup both times. And I don't think it was particularly close. I mean, Tabby had fine games, but Jordan was dominant in those games and both wins. So, I mean, it's if you want to just go by the old school eye test, she's been fantastic.
It does kind of stink that we're doing this on Monday before Prosper plays Plano in a rematch, because that is kind of the one time where a team is sort of solved Jordan Oliver to an extent. She only had 10 points in that first meeting against Plano. Prosper as a team just couldn't get it going against that zone defense that Plano rolls out. But yeah, Brian, so you're the Prosper guy. You know, you've covered this team all season long. So are you kind of in concert with Taylor on this? Just kind of talk a bit about your thought process and who you feel like could be the girls' district MVP in 9-6A.
No doubt about it, it's Jordan Oliver. One thing that kind of scares me is if Allen wins the district and they reward Nia Green for leading Allen to the district title, being the best player on the best team.
Which, I mean, her second half of district has been awesome. She's scoring the ball at such a clip.
Part of my argument is that I feel like Oliver's been so much more consistent throughout. I mean, Jaden Owens, through no fault of her own, has been hurt. Tabby has been a little bit up and down. You know, Nia has been a little bit up and down. Tremendous second half, as Allen has had a tremendous second half and really entered itself back into the conversation for the district title. But Prosper and Jordan have been there, it seems like, all year.
But, you know, who else has had a great second half is Jordan Oliver. I mean, she's just coming off a 29-point game against Allen, where they lost at the buzzer. You know, if Prosper wins that game, then we're looking at, Prosper then could be in the driver's seat to, the district title, even after the forfeiture against McKinney Boyd. But her last... she had a double-double her last two games. She had against McKinney a few weeks prior. She had 19 and 10. Against Plano East, she had 24, 8 and 5. She averages 4 assists a game. She's now their main ball handler, so she's getting the ball every time, bringing up the floor. She picks her spots. She can hit the 12-foot jumper. Coach Durham with Allen, she had an interesting quote. She said, "Well, when Jordan Oliver's hitting their spots like that and hitting that little mid-range jumper, among other things, she goes, quote, like, dude, what are you going to do?" And there's nothing you can do. She's unstoppable. She scored the first 8 points of the fourth quarter in that game against Allen when they were down by 8 and brought them back in the game. So it's like she'll have her moments. It seems like the games I've seen, she'll start off slow. She'll miss her first 3 or 4 shots, and then it's next thing you know, she has 14 points, and she's made her next 5.
Well, and it's when I think about MVP and most valuable player, if you want to condense it to what that phrase actually means, when I saw them play East at home, Jordan Oliver got hurt, and she went back to the tunnel to get checked out. The entire bench went like this and seemed to just be staring at the tunnel the whole time. Plano East goes on like a 14.
She's coming back out, right?
A 14-0 run or something with her off the floor, something crazy with Oliver gone, and then Oliver checks back in late in the second quarter, and I think Prosper ends up winning that game by double digits. Like it's just unbelievable the impact that she has on the team.
To be fair, that probably happens with a few of these teams.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the interesting conversation about this district as a whole too, is the supporting cast, because you can't deny that Oliver has some really key pieces around her as well. I would say that her supporting cast is better than Plano East, than Tabby has night in and night out. I think Tabby has talent around her, but Prosper with Scout Huffman.
Tabby's supporting cast is really young.
Scout Huffman is hurt, by the way, right now. So we're really seeing Jordan Oliver really have to pick it up these last few games. We've seen it, 19 against Plano West, 29 against Allen without Huffman in the lineup. I think Allen's supporting cast is better, though. Tyler Jackson took over.
Zoe McCrary.
The fourth quarter, Zoe McCrary, she didn't really do much, but I've heard a lot of good things about her. They had number 3, I can't think of her name. She was a little sharpshooter. I think she had 3 threes.
Oh, yeah. Tarpley.
For Allen, and
Alyssa Tarpley.
Tarpley hit the game-winning shot, off the rebound. A little freshman, it was right place, right time, unsuspecting hero, hits the game-winning shot. I think Allen's supporting cast is better than any other team that I've seen in the district. So that may hurt Nia Green's case, but Nia Green is phenomenal. I've seen her once, and the entire first quarter, Prosper was face guarding her. The game plan obviously was, we are not letting her even catch the ball. And then the second quarter, she kind of starts getting her fast break game going. It's this, that. Then hit a couple fadeaway jumpers, long 2-pointers, and I'm like, okay, you don't see that in girls basketball very often, Kobe Bryant style shots.
Nobody's really mentioned Jordan Merritt yet, though, which is odd to me because Jordan Merritt, I think, is, at least if I'm going, I think it's a discussion between Merritt and Oliver, at least personally. I think Merritt, you can make a case that's the most versatile player in this district, just in just the number of ways that she can impact a game just because of her size and her length and just the versatility of her skill set. I mean, she's really, shown off the strides she's made as a low post player this season. Like, I think I said it on a podcast, a few weeks back, like her drop step is about as automatic a shot as there is in the district. There might not be a more consistent go-to shot than Jordan Merritt on the block, drop step into the basket. And I mean, with just the growth that she has shown as a scorer, you saw her against McKinney a couple weeks ago, and she dropped 27 on the line. That's a huge victory.
She loses kind of the memories from that game because of the last second buzzer beater from Zaria Collins and the way they won that game. But she was absolutely the best player in that game. I mean, outplayed Aaron Fry, who also had a great game. Yeah. But I mean, I do think there's merit, no pun intended, to the argument that her and Oliver are the two most complete basketball players potentially in the district, the two that can do the most. Because for as good as Tavi Diggs is, her game is very well defined, and she wants to do one thing, and if you take that away, sometimes she struggles a little bit. And I feel like Oliver and Merritt, both of them kind of have enough facets to not let that happen so often. So. Yeah,
as impressive as Jordan Merritt has been, though, like, I don't want to be redundant, but I too kind of arrive at maybe just by ever so slightly thinking Jordan Oliver might get it for a lot of reasons that you guys have mentioned. And I just think of some of the, I mean, they've all these players have scored, incredible numbers this season. So that's like, you can't really parse much from that. It's just kind of the moments. And I just think, like, when I'm thinking through, like, in any other sport, when you think of, like, the NBA, and, like, there's always, like, James Harden had a moment last year when he broke Wesley Johnson's ankles, and I mean, that was the clip that went viral, and that was okay. That's an MVP level clip. Or like when Steph Curry hit that shot just past half court against the Thunder the year that he won his second MVP. I mean, you have those moments that stick with you when you're trying to make a case for somebody. And I think of like that first matchup against East when Jordan Oliver takes it upon herself to guard Tavi Diggs, and and this is the reigning district MVP out of 6XA, one of the best post players in the Metroplex, and she does great in that matchup. I think the game that the first time that I saw her play, when they played Allen in that first meeting, and she told head coach Trey Rochelle in a game that was just one possession entering the fourth quarter, let me take over. She went into straight up takeover mode, and Prosper had to kind of deviate a little bit from what it likes to do, but you put the ball in the hands of one of the best players in the country, and she just came through time and time again, whether it was scoring the ball, whether it was assisting. I've just been really impressed with how, like, we've kind of intimated this, how mature her game is. The job that she does picking her spots, even if her offense, even if her shot's not there, she still finds other ways to impact the game. And like you said, now that she's having to do even more now, depending on how long that Scott Huffman's going to be out for. I mean, that team is fixing to go out on a Jordan Oliver size shield, and I mean, given what she's shown this year, you got to still be feeling pretty good about your chances if you're Prosper. So I mean, it's odd because as competitive as this race is, we're all unanimous in thinking it's going to go to Jordan Oliver. So so we shall see. On the boys' side, though, I don't know. Let's just talk some of the potential 968 candidates on the boys' side, because this is a district that has two of the best teams in the state. Allen and Jesuit. Both teams have obviously their worthy selections there. Whether it's Max Amos, the point guard for Jesuit, their big man Julius Marble, just a walking matchup nightmare. You have Isaiah Stevens over at Allen, one of the best scorers in this in the Metroplex. You got Plano West making a surge.
A bit of a two-headed monster there with Daylen Minor and Ryan Zambi. Both of them have had tremendous years, which is a different vibe for Plano West, because last season it seemed to be all Ryan Zambi all the time, and Minor's emergence. I mean, he's been on the team and been a very solid player, but he's really kind of come into a different kind of role.
It's him staying healthy. Coach Morgan will make that known that, I mean, last year they just did not have those two on the court for enough time during district, just because with injuries to Minor and whatnot. It's just made all the difference, because those two have been game changers for West. As they've made this mid-district surge and are now riding 6 consecutive wins heading into the Tuesday night against Allen. Then you got Prosper, a team that is kind of surprised a bit with what they've done in district play.
Well, it helps when you get a guy named Mondo Battle come in and take over in the post. He came in December, late December, just in time for district play. And he's a guy that could be, in the mix for newcomer of the year, or something like that. I wouldn't say MVP. You have a guy like Josh Davis. His scoring numbers aren't through the roof, but this is a 3-year starter on varsity. Coach Ellis, Jonathan Ellis likes to say he's a walking triple double. He'll have he does it all. He'll have the rebounds, the assists. He runs the team. He's the leader of the team, vocal leader, and he's been known to light it up a little bit. But like I said, his scoring numbers I don't think warrant an MVP over the guys from Jesuit and Allen and those state powers right there. But this is a more complete team than I guess we thought they would be, heading into district play. And, they'll probably going to sneak into the playoffs if they take care of business these last 3 games.
Yeah, with Isaiah Stevens, just how, because now that he's getting to kind of run the show, I mean, like I've said in the past, like last year's this is his 3rd year on varsity, and just these first 2 years, Allen was just such a balanced team and had so many outlets to beat you. I mean, the team really strived on balance, so it was really tough to stand out. And now that he's taken the reins, you've seen he's still just as lethal a scorer as he's shown the ability to be, but you're seeing what a dynamic passer he is. He really is. I was talking with Allen's head coach, Dean Christian, after the game against Jesuit, and I mean, he just, he went on just a diatribe about just how blessed this district is to have 2 point guards like Isaiah Stevens and Max Amos over at Jesuit, and just, the quality play that you get at that position. 2 guys who are not only just dynamic offensive players, but they don't make, high school level mistakes. They're just so smart with the ball, and I mean, I really do think that it's ultimately going to come down to those 2. Yeah. As far as the MVP conversation goes, I give the slight edge to Max though over at Jesuit, with just the consistency that he has shown. Whether it was with or without Julius Marble, because make no mistake about it. I mean, Julius Marble is the D1 stud on that team. He's the one that's going to be playing, for some Power 5 school most likely, and he is an absolute matchup nightmare. I think Max though is kind of what kind of makes that team go though. I'm just looking at some of his numbers. During district play, he's averaging 22.5 points per game. Wow.
Sweep Allen.
Yeah, they swept Allen. He was huge in both games. The first time that they beat Allen was, Marble was injured, 2-3 minutes into the game, but they still didn't miss a beat. I mean, he really is everything you want out of a point guard. He's a great outside shooter. He's got just an absolutely vicious first step off the dribble. Again, a very, very willing passer. He's not a high turnover guy or anything either. I mean, Jesuit itself is a smart team. They play very high IQ style, and I think he is just kind of the straw that stirs the drink, so to speak. So he would get my my MVP nod.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think you just look at, if it comes down to Max versus Isaiah, it's probably going to go to whoever wins the district championship. Yeah. And Jesuit has the leg up, having swept Allen. Yep. Allen is going to need Jesuit to come back to the group a little bit, and then, because if they both win out, then they tie. Jesuit wins the head-to-head, and that's all she wrote. And I think then you have to give it to Amos. I think you just have to. As good as Marble is as well, which, I mean, I saw Jesuit and Allen play the second time, and Marble got to play the whole game, and like we've alluded to, that guy is a physical freak. I mean, he's 6'8", tremendously athletic for that size. But as you said, I think Amos is the guy that makes that thing go. And if they win the district, and they've already handled Allen twice pretty convincingly. So I mean, I think it's his to lose for sure.
I haven't seen Allen boys or Jesuit boys, but just based off the eye test, I know you've seen them both. Amos or Stevens, just who's a better point guard? Not who's MVP, but just who's a better player from what you've seen.
It's really close though, because I don't know. I think if you were to put Stevens on Jesuit and Amos on Allen, I mean, I think their games are very, very similar.
Well, and it's tough for me because I saw them play one another, and Stevens just had an off night.
Yeah.
I mean,
which compared to the first time that they played Jesuit, he had 42.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So I mean, it's tough. I mean, just on what I've seen, I guess I'd say Amos, but I know Stevens is tremendous in his own right. I mean, it's not. I think they're pretty.
No, you might get you might get a co-MVP. I
was just about to say that. Co-MVP's coming up.
But yeah, like you said, though, when all else fails, I mean, the best player on the best team is always an appropriate way to sometimes default on who gets the district MVP. And that is a look at the very least our selections for District 9 6A's MVPs. Obviously, still plenty more as far as 6A districts. Still got 6 6A, 10 6A, 11 6A, and we will get to that on the other side of this break. But first, Got to share in that student-athlete spotlight, and we just mentioned Plano West. Plano West is rolling right now.
Yeah, they are.
They are the hottest team in the district, despite playing in a district that has 2 of the top, 5-7 teams in the district. Plano West has a 6-game winning streak heading into the week. Taylor, you had a chance to catch up with one of the standouts, Daylen Minor, who's been a huge part in that surge. We will see what Daylen had to say after a word from this sponsor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Star Local Media. 14 newspapers and websites with a print distribution of 270,000 homes and monthly page views of 600,000 online. Star Local Media, your community voice for news. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
How's it going, everybody? This is Taylor Ragland out here at Plano West with senior Daylen Minor. Wolves are on a 6-game winning streak in District 9-6A, set up pretty well for postseason position. So I guess the big question, Daylen, the first one is, what's been going right for you guys over these last 6 games, and how good are you guys feeling right now?
Yeah, we've been playing good as a team. I think me and Ryan just been leading all the younger players because we're the seniors, returners, along with Shamar. And at the beginning of the season, we had a couple things going. We weren't playing together, but now I think everything's clicking. Everybody's playing good, and we're playing good together. I think that's the biggest part of why we're on this winning streak right now.
You spoke about you and Ryan, especially being senior leaders, but at the same time, you missed some time last year with injuries. You guys missed the postseason. You guys had a lot of injuries to deal with. So how good has it been to kind of be back, be healthy, get a whole season to play alongside him, and kind of develop that chemistry over again?
Yeah, it feels real good. We see the results. Last year, I let my team down. They really needed a point guard. This year, we got everybody healthy. Everybody's clicking together, and so you can see it in the results and the wins we're getting right now, and the record we have.
Being a senior, obviously you've been here a while, and senior game evolved a little bit and all that good stuff. So what do you think is maybe the biggest change that you've made to kind of help out the team and be more productive as a point guard?
I've just been doing what I always do. It's my game. My game is point guard. If I need to score for my team, I'll score. If I need to get players involved, that's what I do, play defense. I just play my game, and whatever the other team gives me, that's what I take.
Talked about Shamar Pearl too. Obviously that win over Prosper you guys had. You had you had the bucket to tie it, and then Shamar, obviously you guys get the ball back with like 3 seconds left, and
big win.
Scores to win it. So how good was that win, and how good did it feel to kind of keep it rolling, especially in that fashion?
Oh man, that win was real big for us, putting us in the position to have 3rd place going into the playoffs. So Shamar with that game winner, we was just excited in the locker room because that was a big win for us that we really needed over a very good Prosper team.
Yeah, you guys are a game behind Allen and Jesuit, I think, right now, but still set up really well, like I said, to get in the postseason, earn that bid, and get back there after missing last year. How important is that to you as a senior to kind of maintain the tradition here at West and get back to the postseason and kind of keep the program on the map?
Oh, that's very important. The last time we was in the playoffs, we went 2 rounds deep 2 years ago. This is my senior year. We had to get to the playoffs. So we're doing all the seniors. We're doing everything in our power right now to keep this season going as far as we can, and to keep rolling as far as we can go to hopefully get to state.
What do you think the main identity is for you guys this year? When you look at your basketball team and how you guys want to play and how you guys want to win basketball games, what do you feel like? What kind of team, I guess, do you guys think you are? I
think we're all really good friends outside of basketball, so I think that comes together on the court, and we play together real good, and we've been able to see it the last few games. We've been winning. Our assist numbers been up, everybody getting a piece of the win, so I think that's really been important for us.
We've already talked about you and Shamar and Ryan and some of those older guys, but you also mentioned how you guys lead the younger guys and some of those guys that are coming up, especially Alec, Ryan's younger brother, all that good stuff. So who have you been impressed with as far as younger guys, and how have they contributed this season?
Man, they've all been playing really good. We got most of them are sophomores, like you said, Alec, Christian, Grant, Chase. They just all been playing up to my expectations, really, and I think they've been really giving us an edge over teams, because when me and Ryan or Shamar aren't doing aren't hot or whatever, they come in and pick up the slack a little bit and give us a little bit of slack to take a break or whatever. They just been playing real good for sophomores, playing up on a varsity level.
I guess the last thing is, you put this 6-game winning streak on the line against Allen tomorrow at their place. They got you the first time, but you guys are rolling right now. So what do you think, or how do you think this game will be different, and what's kind of going through y'all's minds as you get ready for this rematch?
Yeah, our confidence right now, I think, is a major key going into this game. We're real confident in ourselves and each other, and I think that's When we played them the first time, we didn't really have that. But right now on the 6-game winning streak, I think we're going into this game real confident, and hopefully we get this win.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daylen. This has been Taylor Ragland out here at Plano West with senior point guard Daylen Minor. Get ready for the second half of the podcast. Thanks, man.
No problem.
All right, well, thanks to Daylen Minor of Plano West Boys Basketball for joining us on the podcast. As you noticed, we've switched things up here. So I'm Justin Thomas, and I'm being joined by Kendrick Johnson and Devin Hassan. And we're continuing to talk basketball MVPs here. So you want to take it off?
Speaking of Mr. Minor, I actually seen the man play. He's very clutch, and he's kind of like a fire starter with some talent. Like, people feed off of what he do. Like, he took over down the stretch against McKinney and made 2 or 3 tough shots, and to the point where he got the crowd involved and stuff like that. So, like, he's a guy that his stats won't be the best, but when you look for MVP, I look at the intangible guy, and that's what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
He definitely somebody for 9-6-8 that I definitely would put in the mix, because since he's gotten hot, they've been on this run. I think they won like 6 of their last 7. And they went from being like, oh no, to they're almost a sure lock to be in the playoffs.
So if you're a voter, who else are you considering therein?
You got to look at McKinney's Byron Scobie. This man's had like 4 games over 40 points this year. But like, if you want to look at the meaning of MVP, I think he's more offensive player than the MVP. He's had a couple off games, but dude's averaging 30 points in district.
Yeah, that's
he gets buckets. But you kind of got to incorporate the team aspect. Like, McKinney can get in the playoffs without a doubt, but they have like the beat Prosper and need this and that. So I think you need more dominant. I haven't seen the guys from Jesuit, but they have a point guard that is ridiculous, and they can shoot, and they're number 1 in the district. So I would lean towards that, because you got the team success, the individual success, and I know Devin's old school, the real definition of MVP.
Back and forth we go.
All right, Devin, what are you looking at?
Well, I'll touch on 10-6A real quick, and then we'll bounce over to one of your districts.
Okay.
But on the girls' side, it's tough. You know, a lot of times on these all-district teams, or most valuable player, it's the best player on the best team.
Yeah.
And it's tough when you have on the girls' side Saxey, who's run away with the district championship once again. They have 5 kind of equal parts. Every member of their starting rotation averages between 8 and 14 points. They both do a lot of the same things. Avery Krause won it last year. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see her win it again. But I'm kind of leaning more toward Rowlett and Nagazi Obaneki. She's a 6-foot forward, multiple-time all-district selection, but she made the move in the offseason to point guard, and has just really flourished in that role. 17.5 points a game. She leads the team in rebounding at nearly 9 per night. 3.5 steals per game, and then obviously leads the team in assists. And it's just really giving them a different dimension, because as I mentioned, she's really good on the glass, but you know that element of being able to pull the ball down off the glass and then instantly get into transition has really kind of changed the Rowlett mindset and what they've been able to do. And if you want to, see just how valuable she is, she missed the game on Friday last week, and they lost by 12 to Lakeview, a Lakeview team that they'd handled fairly easily the first time.
Different story for them, huh?
So hopefully it's nothing long-term, nothing serious, and they'll have her back for the playoffs, because she's a difference maker, and that's who I'd probably vote for. As far as MVP, as far as on the girls' side. On the boys' side, pick one of the 2 players from South. I mean, it's
Tyrese Maxey.
And you know, John Achibe out at Wiley has been. I mean, he's had several 30-point games, but I mean, it's Tyrese Maxey or Chris Harris. Those 2 guys are they both put up great numbers. I mean, Maxey's 22 points a game, Chris Harris 18, both around 6 rebounds a game, both around 3 assists, both around 2 steals. Numbers are very comparable. You can't go wrong with either one. But I would figure, just because he has the slight edge in scoring, is you're going to see Tyrese Maxey repeat as MVP and Chris Harris repeat as Offensive Player of the Year.
Special talent.
Not a school that you actually cover, but off the top of your head, is Harris, has he committed anywhere yet?
He's going to A&M.
A&M? Okay.
Yes.
I saw them both play earlier in the year. But I went to Garland Lakeview Centennial, full disclosure, which is the South Garland rival. But I went to check out Mr. Maxey, because he's kind of getting this legendary status. He's the real deal. Like, there are too many people I'll put the seal of approval for for one and done. He gets the seal of approval. I take my reputation seriously.
Check.
Go see Tyrese Maxey. He'll be playing for Kentucky next year.
Well, and I'll be interested to see what they do in the playoffs coming off that state tournament last year, because once you've been there, I got a sense early on they're kind of in cruise control.
Yeah.
And now once the second half of district play started, starting with that undefeated showdown against Lakeview, they really amped up their game. And
Who's the freshman with the left hand that can shoot? They got a good freshman guy they got a shooter for South Garland.
Oh, he just basically joined the rotation late. He's had a couple of 20, 25.
He's got potential
games,
too.
So, but anyway, JT, what about one of your districts over here?
For me in 6A, Louisville and Hebron have had good years. Louisville has a senior point guard, Nala Hemingway. She kind of runs the offense, but she's really stands out on defense, and it's really, it's a defensive-minded team, and she kind of leads the trend there. And then Hebron has a couple of juniors. When you talk about junior guards, Sierra Dixon and Deja Melton, they're both 3-year starters, and they've had pretty good years for Hebron. But I mean, MacArthur's undefeated, so I think you're going to have to pick somebody from MacArthur. Taylor Broussard actually leads the team in scoring, but just on all-around play and name recognition, I think you're going to have to go with the 5-star junior Sarah Andrews, top-rated player in her class in all of Texas, just all-around dynamic player, and obviously unbeaten in district. So I think MacArthur's obviously going to get the MVP, and I'm going to pick Sarah Andrews. Kendrick, how about girls for you in 6A?
I haven't seen none of the big players play, so I don't like commenting. But from what I've seen off of highlights,
you definitely have some good ones in that district.
From what I've seen off of highlights and just putting the stats on, I have to give it to Jordan Oliver. It's hard to come in like she's a McDonald's All-American. So is Jaden Owens, who's been hurt, so that kind of disqualifies her. And Nia Green for Allen. Oliver's been the most consistent, and it's kind of hard when people know you're that good to kind of be that person, and she's been that person all year.
Gotcha.
And she's won a couple games for them down the stretch, or half them in games they had no business being in. So she's talking and walked the park, so she's getting my vote. And she's going to Baylor next year, one of the best schools in America.
Yep, she'll join Flower Mound's Lauren Cox there. For me, on the boys' side in 6A, it's a pretty intriguing race actually. I think, from my perspective, I think there's 3 legitimate candidates. You have Coppell's Tariq Aman. He's a point guard, 4-year starter. He leads the team in scoring, and he's their captain, obviously. And this is a Coppell team that's kind of exceeded expectations, at least from my perspective. They're very young, very inexperienced, and I think, obviously, I didn't mention it, but they're tied for first in the district with Louisville, and I think Tariq is a big reason why, especially from a leadership perspective with how young the team is and also having a new coach. So he's definitely a candidate. You have Hebron's Logan McLaughlin. He's a big-time scorer. He has big-time hops. He can shoot it from anywhere. But I think my pick might have to be a freshman, Keontae George at Louisville. He's
legit.
He's legit. He's 5th in 6A and in the area in scoring at 21 points per game, and he's been hitting big shots of late. I covered the game against Hebron on Friday, and he hit 2 threes in overtime to kind of key the win there. He hit a game-tying 3 at the buzzer against Irving Mack, a game they ended up winning in double overtime. And I also covered the first game against Hebron, and they ended up losing that game at the buzzer, but he had hit a ridiculous 3-pointer with about 5 seconds left to tie that game. So he's not just scoring it, he's doing it in big-time situations. And it's like I said, I think it's a tight race, especially at the top between Tariq and Keontae, the 2 co-leaders in the district and the 2 kind of best players on their respective teams, in my opinion. I'm gonna pick Keontae to win it.
It's like you know me. I don't be commenting on people unless I really see them. Love this kid's game. He has a nice pace. But the X factor to him is like he's not just good, but he has that killer mentality. Hence why he's hitting all these big shots. And it's no big deal to him either. He's not. The moment's definitely not too big for this kid.
If I had to describe him in one word, I would just say smooth. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. If I was going to like compared to the NBA, he's kind of like a poor man's Paul George. He's a good 2-way player.
Yeah, and he's been hitting big shots, so still 3 games in that district to decide the district championship, and maybe the MVP could come down to which team ends up sitting on top. So
we're putting our reputations on the line. Me and Justin are pretty accurate, except when it comes to Anthony Wiggins.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'll let you say that.
Anthony Wiggins,
Andrew Wiggins. Devin, anything else you wanted to mention? Or?
Yeah, I'll touch on my 11 6A district so I don't leave the mesquite folk out and have them calling me. On the girls' side, it's a 3-team race still, and I think there's 3 main candidates, one from each of those teams. You got Rockwall; their season's actually done. They have a bye tomorrow night. They're 10-2. They're going to earn a share of the district title regardless. Then you have Horn and Tyler Lee, both at 9-2. They play each other on Tuesday, so winner of that game gets a co-championship, and the winner of that game might get the MVP out of it. I mean, Horn, Nia Boyd, their incredible point guard, a 4-year starter. She was actually the district MVP 2 years ago. She's a candidate. She's put up big numbers, both scoring and assist-wise. One thing that might I guess kind of take away from her a vote is that she does have a lot of good players around her, like Jasmine Shavers, players like that. So she doesn't have to do as much as she did, say, 2 years ago when she did win the MVP. Rockwall, Jordan Mathis has been their most consistent player all year long. She was the defensive player of the year last year. And then at Tyler Lee, Aaliyah Morgan, she signed with TCU. She's really Tyler Lee was expected to compete for the playoffs, but it was kind of surprised that they have a chance to win a share of the district championship. So I think if they beat Horn tomorrow night, Horn won the first meeting. I think if they beat Horn, then I think it goes to Leah Morgan, just based on what she was able to do. If Horn wins, I don't know. Again, Nia Boyd is certainly a worthy candidate, but I think it probably goes to Jordan Mathis still. Just because she's been so consistent for that team, and they leaned on her a lot more than I think Horn has leaned on Nia Boyd. On the boys' side, it's pretty. I think it's pretty clear cut. Samuel Williamson out at Rockwall.
I think he leads 6A in scoring, right?
Yeah. He's just a scoring machine. He signed with Louisville. On a district leading team. They actually suffered their first loss last Friday to Mesquite. And I would like to give a shout out to Cody LeBlanc over at Mesquite. He's a guy that's worthy of consideration. I mean, he had one of the best shooting performances I've seen this year. He had 8 threes against North Mesquite. And I mean, he's shooting from 26, 28 feet. I mean, the guy has just unlimited range. And he had a big game on Friday in that big win over Rockwall, scoring 21. But I think when you look at the entire body of work, it's just going to be hard for anybody but Samuel Williamson to be MVP of that.
It's pretty. Seems like a shoe in there almost. Real quick, going back to Keontae, I just wanted to mention if he does end up winning MVP as a freshman, I've only covered one other player that's won a district MVP as a freshman, and it was Marcus Smart, and he ended up winning 4 district MVPs and 2 Gatorade basketball players, so Player of the Year awards. So if Keontae pulls this off, who knows what's coming down the pike for him. Anyway, that'll do it for our podcast 6A recap here. So thanks for joining us, and check us back out on Thursday when we start touching on 5A. Thanks.